Joining me now is former White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney. Mick, thanks so much for your time. We know that Donald Trump has been working on this for quite some time. He's been back and forth with Netanyahu. Just a couple of weeks ago, he criticised him publicly when there was any talk about annexing of the West Bank. So to get Netanyahu to agree is an important step. But what about Hamas?
It is. In fact, it's not lost on a lot of observers that when they made the announcement today, you had Israel, you had the U.S., and there was no one there from Hamas. So it sounds like, Laura, what this is an opening bid, that this is a proposal from the U.S. and Israel to Hamas to see if they'll accept these terms or not. I get the impression they probably won't. Hamas has never been very eager to sort of even recognize Israel in the first place. So I'm not sure they're going to enter into good faith negotiations. But again, maybe it's progress. But right now, it's just a proposal, not really anything close to an agreement.
Yeah, is Hamas just a proxy, though? The significant step forward, perhaps we need to see through that and look at Qatar and Turkey. If they're agreeing to this plan, does that cut off the head of Hamas? And that's what Netanyahu and Trump are banking on.
I think that's right. I think you've hit the nail on the head, and that what they're trying to do is appeal to the folks who can put pressure on Hamas. Israel's putting the pressure on, certainly militarily. The United States is assisting in that. But really, if you could convince the Saudis, if you could convince the Jordanians, the Turks, et cetera, the Qataris, that this is a good deal, then maybe that does move it in the right direction. So you're absolutely right. Maybe this pitch today, this was an appeal not to Hamas as much as it was to Hamas's supporters.
Yeah, I think so as well. But this is still going to take some time. The talk of the Palestinian Authority being involved, but a reformed Palestinian Authority. So if that means, democratically elected, that is, some months, if not years away. Do you think this agreement today means that Trump will not put up with further massive strikes on Gaza from Israel?
No, in fact, I think he actually said that he would, if this fell apart, that he would support, the Israelis continuing to try and erase Hamas. Keep in mind that you talk about Democrat elections. The last democratically founded election that they had in Gaza elected Hamas. So, I mean, that's part of the difficulty here, that Hamas was the last democratically elected leadership of that part of the world. So, look, I hope it works. I really do. But if it does not, I think the Americans are probably going to be right to look around and say, look, the Israelis put something on the table. We supported it. Maybe other folks did. And if Hamas doesn't want to engage in good faith negotiations, then there's really not much sympathy for them.
If we could talk about another element of what has come out today from the White House, or more specifically the Pentagon, and that is that AUKUS has survived that review. It will go ahead, in the words of Richard Marles, our Defence Minister. Do you think this was always going to be the way? There was just a review to satisfy any lingering anxieties?
Yeah, and I've talked about this before. Every new administration does these reviews of our ongoing agreements overseas and so forth. So to that extent, this was ordinary course of business at some level. Doesn't surprise me that the relationship is going to continue. Why wouldn't it? Look, I recognize the fact that for whatever reason, the Albanese government has not been able to sort of plug into the Trump administration. I'll leave that to them to try and figure out why. But that, again, doesn't undermine the stronger long-term relationship between the two nations. So governments come and go, societies, stay, and the connection there is much stronger than any particular administration.
Despite Anthony Albanese, not because of him.
Yeah, it's a good way to go. Has he had his meeting yet? I get the feeling he probably is not going to now for a long time, but that's probably
we've actually been able to nail down a date. Trump cancelled on him in New York, or he wasn't on the list. I'm going to call it cancelled because that's what it was. Now we have an Oval Office date for October 20.
Good. I think that's wonderful. Look, if Keir Starmer, Donald Trump doesn't pick his friends based upon their politics. He does not care if you are left wing or right wing. Look, he just had a spectacularly successful, from everybody's perspective, the British, ourselves. He had a great visit to the United Kingdom, which is led by Keir Starmer, a Labour prime minister. So it's not about politics. It's about personalities. I hope that Mr. Albanese can break through here. And if you tell me they've set a date, I think that's progress. Any
advice on what gifts he should bring?
No, I think that's probably overstated. Look, part of the problem is Trump knows if you don't like him. He just does. Look, we all do, right? I mean, if you and I are in a room together with a bunch of people and someone walks up and starts talking to us, you sort of can sense from people whether or not they like you or not. And right now, I think folks get the sense that Anthony Albanese just doesn't like Donald Trump, and he's going to have to fix that if he wants to fix their personal relationship.
Yeah, it's a big moment in foreign diplomacy for us here in Australia. Mick Mulvaney, always great to speak to you. Enjoy the DC sunset, or at least what's left of it. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Lauren.